Hello dear listener, and welcome to the Sleepless Academic. I'm truly glad you're here tonight. Maybe you're nestled into a warm quilt listening as a soft rain taps against the window pane. Perhaps there's a quiet cup of tea nearby, its steam curling gently into the room. Or maybe you're simply letting the day's thoughts dissolve, like mist rising from a still lake. This space is yours. A quiet little corner of the cosmos where we rest, reflect, and drift off with wonder. And tonight, we'll be wandering through some of the strangest and most intriguing places in our universe. Not through maps or constellations, but through questions. Questions science hasn't yet answered, and may never. Because for all that we've learned, discovered, and charted, for every telescope aimed at the stars or microscope peering deep into a cell, there remain puzzles that slip through our fingers like grains of cosmic sand. The phenomena we'll explore tonight aren't merely gaps in data or unsolved formulas. They're mysteries that hum quietly beneath the surface of everything we think we know. They invite us to pause, to ponder, and sometimes to simply accept that the world is far stranger and more beautiful than we might imagine. From unexplained sounds echoing across the sky, to ancient machines that shouldn't exist, from the mysteries of the mind to the dark silence of space, each chapter will unfold slowly, gently, like a dream unspooling in the quiet of the night. And if at any point your eyes grow heavy or your thoughts begin to blur softly into sleep, that's perfectly all right. The mysteries will still be here when you wake. This video is for rest, reflection, and soft wonder. It is not medical advice, nor a substitute for care from those who know you best. If your sleep or well-being are weighing on you tonight, please reach out to someone who can help. You're not alone. So, now, take a breath, a deep, easy one. Let your shoulders relax. Let the gentle crackle of the fire ease you into stillness. And when you're ready, we'll begin. Our first step takes us not to the edge of the forest or the bottom of the sea, but far beyond into the silent folds of space itself. Part 1. The Cosmic Unknown. Chapter 1. The Cold Spot in the Universe. Out beyond the reach of stars, past swirling galaxies and the long echoing hush of cosmic dust, there is a strange silence. A place in the universe that seems too quiet, too empty, too cold. It's called the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang, like a memory the universe can't quite forget. And within that background lies something unexpected. A cold spot. Scientists first noticed it when mapping the sky's ancient radiation. It was a patch of space that measured significantly cooler than its surroundings, far more than any standard fluctuation could explain. To this day, no one quite knows why it's there. Some believe it could be the shadow of a massive void, an empty stretch of space where galaxies are sparse. Others have suggested something more exotic, a bruise from a collision with another universe, an imprint left behind by a multiverse brushing against our own. It sounds like science fiction, but even fiction has roots. No matter how we look at it, the cold spot remains a quiet defiance to what we expect. It reminds us that even the universe carries secrets, and sometimes those secrets glow not in light but in absence. As we float gently away from the cold spot, we realize there is far more we can't see than what we can. Chapter 2. Dark Matter and Dark Energy. Most of what exists in the cosmos is invisible. Not invisible in the sense of being hidden, but in the sense that it cannot be touched, detected, or fully grasped by any instrument we've yet created. It's called dark matter and dark energy, and together they make up about 95% of everything. That means everything we can see: stars, planets, nebulae, even you and me, makes up less than 5% of the universe. We know dark matter is there because we can see its effects. Galaxies spin in a way that defies gravity unless something unseen is holding them together. But what is it? Some say it's made of exotic particles we haven't discovered yet. Others wonder if it's something else entirely, or a flaw in our understanding of gravity itself. Then there's dark energy, the strange force that seems to be pushing the universe apart faster and faster. It defies every expectation we had about how the cosmos should behave. And still, we have no idea what it is or why it works. It's as though the universe is made mostly of whispers, and we're just beginning to learn how to listen. Chapter 3, The Fermi Paradox. On a quiet night like this, when the stars are scattered like powdered sugar across a velvet sky, one question often rises to the surface of the mind. Where is everybody? We live on a planet teeming with life, orbiting a very ordinary star in a galaxy full of other stars, many with planets of their own. By the laws of probability alone, the universe should be crawling with intelligent life. And yet, we haven't heard a thing. This silence is known as the Fermi Paradox, a contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial life and our total lack of evidence for it. Some theories are hopeful. Maybe alien civilizations are simply too far away or too different for us to recognize. Maybe they're using technology we haven't imagined yet. But others are more sobering. Maybe intelligent life inevitably destroys itself before it can reach the stars. Maybe Earth is a rare oasis, not because life is uncommon, but because survival is. And then there's the eerie possibility that we are being watched, that other civilizations are observing quietly, choosing not to interfere, like naturalists studying animals in a forest. It's a theory known as the zoo hypothesis. Whatever the answer, the silence stretches on. And in that silence, a gentle mystery. Sometimes, the absence of an answer is the most profound answer of all. As we drift onward through the darkness between stars, the question lingers, not demanding an answer, but simply asking to be heard. Chapter 4, Fast Radio Bursts. Imagine a sound, short, sharp, and piercing, coming from the distant reaches of the universe. But not a sound you or I could hear with our ears. It's a signal, a burst of radio waves so fast and powerful it lasts only milliseconds. And yet in that fleeting instant, it releases more energy than our sun emits in days. These are called fast radio bursts, FRBs, and they're one of the most confounding phenomena in modern astronomy. They were first discovered by accident in 2007, hidden in archived data. At first, scientists thought they might be instrumental errors, perhaps even caused by nearby microwaves. But as more telescopes tuned in, more FRBs were detected, some repeating, most not. The signals were real and they were coming from far beyond our galaxy. We still don't know what causes them. Some think they come from the death throes of massive stars, or the collision of neutron stars, dense remnants of supernova. Others wonder if they're from magnetars, exotic stars with magnetic fields 1 trillion times stronger than Earth's. But then, there are other possibilities, the kind that make the hairs on the back of your neck quietly lift. Could they be artificial signals? Some suggest advanced civilizations might use powerful energy beams for communication or propulsion, and these might leak across space. We're not saying it's aliens, but it's one of the options on the table. What makes FRBs even more curious is that some of them repeat, like a cosmic heartbeat. A few even follow a predictable rhythm, as if they're on a schedule. What natural process could be so regular, yet so mysterious? As of now, hundreds have been recorded, and scientists around the world are building telescopes specifically to catch more of them in the act. But with every answer, more questions emerge. The sky, it seems, is whispering to us in short, sharp pulses, and we're only just learning how to listen. In the vast silence of space, it's strange to think that something could shout so loudly, and yet say so little. But perhaps that's part of the wonder. A mystery doesn't need to be solved to be appreciated. Sometimes, just knowing it's out there is enough to spark a quiet awe. So as we gently glide through the dark, starlit ocean of the cosmos, remember, the universe still speaks in riddles, and some of these riddles arrive as bursts too brief to catch unless we're paying attention. Chapter 5. The Hum. Have you ever heard a sound that no one else seems to hear? A deep, low-frequency rumble. Not loud, but persistent, like a diesel engine idling in the distance or a distant thunder that never quite arrives. It vibrates more than it rings, and it lingers in the air quiet hours of the night, just beneath the edge of consciousness. This is the phenomenon known simply as the hum, and for thousands of people around the world it is very real. The hum is not tied to a single place. It's been reported in cities, towns, and isolated rural areas alike, from Bristol in the United Kingdom to Taos in New Mexico to Auckland in New Zealand. Some hear it indoors, others outdoors. Some can escape it, while others are haunted by it wherever they go. But here's the strange part. Despite decades of study, there is no clear source. Sensitive recording equipment often picks up nothing unusual, and people who live side by side may disagree. One hears the hum, while their neighbour hears only silence. What could cause a sound that isn't there? Or is there only for some? Scientists have considered numerous explanations: industrial noise, electrical grids, low-frequency radio waves, even secret military technology. Some think it may be internal, the result of a rare auditory condition or heightened sensitivity to background vibrations. Yet no theory explains everything. Not why the hum often starts suddenly for the person, nor why it sometimes disappears without reason. Not why it causes discomfort, sleeplessness, even distress in some people, while others remain blissfully unaware. There are those who have dedicated years of their lives to investigating the hum, mapping where it occurs, measuring decibels, studying patterns. But still the answers elude them. It's a ghost of sound, a phantom frequency that moves through the world like an invisible tide. And perhaps what makes it most unsettling is the idea that it might not be external at all, that it might arise from within, from the brain's own attempts to make sense of silence, a reminder that even in the quiet our minds can find noise. So if you're lying in bed tonight, wrapped in stillness, and you feel a subtle vibration in the air, a sound too deep to place, you're not alone. Perhaps you've joined a hidden chorus, singing softly beneath the surface of the world. And whether it's science yet to be discovered or the peculiar symphony of the human mind, the hum remains one of the most persistent sonic mysteries of our age. Close your eyes now, if they haven't already closed. Let your breath settle once more. We're about to step into older mysteries next. Mysteries carved in stone and buried in the dust of time. But first, just listen to the silence, and perhaps to what lies beneath it. Chapter 6. The Antikythera Mechanism. Beneath the turquoise waters near the tiny Greek island of Antikythera, divers searching for ancient statues in 1901 made a discovery far stranger than they expected. Tangled among the wreckage of a 2000-year-old Roman cargo ship was a corroded, barnacle-encrusted lump of bronze and wood. It didn't look like much, just a broken, calcified block. But when archaeologists began to examine it more closely, they found something extraordinary. It was filled with gears, intricate interlocking gears. This object, now known as the Antikythera Mechanism, is often called the world's first analog computer. Built sometime between 100 and 200 BC, it could track the movements of the sun, moon and planets. It predicted eclipses and possibly even the timing of ancient Olympic Games. But here's the mystery. Nothing else like it exists from that era. No other known device from the ancient world comes close in mechanical complexity until over 1,000 years later. It's as if someone dropped a Victorian pocket watch into ancient Greece and left it there for us to puzzle over. How did ancient engineers create such precision in a time when most gears were still large, crude and rare? No records survive of its construction, and no writings have been found explaining its design. Was it the work of a lone genius, or part of a now lost tradition of high mechanical knowledge? X-rays and 3D scans of the mechanism have revealed dozens of tiny, delicate bronze cogs, some with teeth finer than those on a modern watch. Reconstructions have shown it may have displayed celestial positions with remarkable accuracy, using a complex system of differential gearing, something thought to be invented in the modern era. Some researchers wonder if it's just the tip of the iceberg, a glimpse into a level of ancient technological sophistication that has lost to time. Others ask if it was inspired by knowledge passed down from even older civilizations, long vanished. No one knows for sure. Every few years, new fragments are discovered or old ones re-examined, offering tiny hints at the mechanism's full story. But its origins and the full extent of what it could do remain elusive. So the next time you look up at the night sky, tracing the arc of the moon or the twinkle of Mars, remember, 2,000 years ago, someone built a machine to do just that, and somehow it ended up at the bottom of the sea, waiting for us to rediscover its quiet genius. And maybe, just maybe, it's a reminder that history is not a straight line, that progress can be forgotten, buried or lost, and that the past may still have secrets more advanced than we have yet imagined. Chapter 7, The Voynich Manuscript. In a quiet library at Yale University, locked away in a climate-controlled vault, rests a book unlike any other. It is not especially large, and its pages are made of fine vellum, carefully illustrated, neatly lettered. What makes it remarkable is that no one can read it. This is the Voynich Manuscript, a mysterious book thought to have been written sometime in the 15th century. Its looping, elegant script flows gracefully from line to line, but it matches no known language, living or dead. Linguists, cryptographers and scholars have spent more than a century trying to decode it, and all have failed. Alongside the strange script are detailed, colourful illustrations, plants that don't exist, star maps that defy astronomy, and peculiar human figures in bizarre, almost dreamlike scenes. It reads like the diary of a world we've never visited. Some believe it's a cipher, an encoded document hiding secret knowledge. Others think it might be a medieval hoax created to fool wealthy collectors or rival scholars. Yet every analysis suggests the writing has the statistical qualities of a real language. Just one we don't understand. Artificial intelligence has been used to compare the text to hundreds of known languages and scripts, and while some machines have found similarities to Hebrew, Latin, or Chinese, no translation has ever made coherent sense. It remains a closed door with no key. The mystery deepens when you consider the effort it would take to fake something like this. Not just random squiggles, but a carefully structured, consistent text hundreds of pages long, with complex grammar and repetition patterns. It's not impossible, but it's incredibly unlikely. Some theories are even stranger, that it's written in glossolalia, language spoken in trance states with no conscious control, or that it was channeled from another realm, a dream journal from someone who walked in another dimension. It sounds fanciful, but the manuscript continues to resist every logical explanation. Who wrote it, and why? Was it meant to preserve knowledge now lost, to teach, to protect, or to confuse? We may never know. So if you find yourself drifting tonight, half asleep and floating through a landscape of strange plants and impossible alphabets, perhaps you've entered the world of the Voynich manuscript, a place where language dances just beyond understanding and mystery is the only translation we need. Chapter 8. Ball lightning. It happens in a blink. A glowing sphere the size of a grapefruit, silently floating through the air. Bright as a small sun, flickering with electric hues, drifting unpredictably through rooms, across fields, even through the walls of houses. This is ball lightning, one of the most persistent and perplexing mysteries in atmospheric science. Reports of it date back centuries, appearing in the journals of 17th century scientists, the diaries of farmers, and even modern-day aircraft pilots. But despite thousands of eyewitness accounts, ball lightning has never been consistently captured under controlled scientific conditions. It resists not just explanation, but observation itself. It's often associated with thunderstorms, yet it behaves nothing like ordinary lightning. These glowing orbs can last several seconds, far longer than the fleeting flash of a bolt, and move slowly, deliberately, sometimes weaving or hovering just above the ground. They've been seen passing through windows without breaking glass, entering homes, gliding down hallways, even resting silently in mid-air before vanishing with a pop, or no sound at all. In 1963, a group of scientists in England claimed to have observed one inside a laboratory. They described it as a small sphere of light, about the size of a tennis ball floating above a desk. It faded slowly, leaving behind a faint smell of ozone. But no equipment picked it up, and no data was collected. It was gone before they could measure it. Many theories have tried to explain it. Some propose plasma created by a specific arrangement of atmospheric conditions. Others suggest chemical reactions between ionized air particles and certain minerals in the soil. A recent idea involves microwave radiation trapped in a bubble of air, stabilized by surrounding electromagnetic fields. But none of these explanations fully capture the behavior of ball lightning, especially its ability to pass through solid objects or appear indoors without any external trigger. It seems to glide between the laws of physics, flickering on the edge of the explainable. It's even been reported on aircraft, with pilots watching glowing orbs drift along the fuselage or hover near cockpit windows, completely unaffected by wind speed or cabin pressure. And then there's the strange emotional quality people often report. Not fear exactly, but awe. Like witnessing something ancient and intelligent, as if the light itself were aware, is not something science can measure. But it's part of the mystery nonetheless. Some cultures have interpreted ball lightning as spirits, omens, or messages from another realm. In Australian Aboriginal tradition, it's seen as a powerful sign from the dream time, a tear in the veil between worlds. The modern world may dismiss such interpretations, but the science hasn't caught up either. For now, ball lightning remains a riddle wrapped in brilliance, flickering just out of reach, then vanishing without a trace. So if you ever see a strange orb of light floating gently through the evening air, don't be alarmed. Perhaps you've just been touched by a piece of the sky's oldest secret, and if it leaves you wondering, even better. The best mysteries are the ones that... So if you ever see a strange orb of light floating gently through the evening air, don't be alarmed. Perhaps you've just been touched by a piece of the sky's oldest secret, and if it leaves you wondering, son... Even better, the best mysteries are the ones that linger quietly, like a soft glow behind closed eyes. Chapter 9, Near-Death Experiences. A tunnel of light, a feeling of peace that floods the senses, a life reviewed in flashes, innocent, vivid, whole, and curiously detached. And then a return, back to the body, back to the world, carrying a story that science still struggles to explain. These are the hallmarks of what many call a near-death experience, or NDE, and while stories of visions, lights, or even encounters with otherworldly beings have long appeared in spiritual texts, the modern study of these experiences only began in earnest in the late 20th century. In 1975, psychiatrist Raymond Moody published the book Life After Life, which documented over 100 personal accounts of people who'd been clinically dead, no heartbeat, no brain activity, and yet returned with astonishing stories. Since then, tens of thousands of similar reports have been collected around the world, across cultures, religions, ages, and languages. The details vary, but the core elements remain strikingly consistent. A sense of floating above the body, sometimes observing doctors or loved ones. Movement through a tunnel toward a radiant light. Feelings of deep peace, love, and unity. Meetings with deceased relatives or spiritual beings. A life review. Like watching a movie of one's life, but with emotional insight from all sides. A choice, or sometimes a command, to return. What's fascinating is that these experiences often occur during periods of flatline, when, medically speaking, the brain should not be producing conscious thought. This has led to a heated debate among neuroscientists, spiritual thinkers, and psychologists. Some argue that these are simply the final flickers of a dying brain, hallucinations triggered by oxygen deprivation, surging neurochemicals, or the sudden collapse of the body's systems. Others suggest something far stranger, that consciousness exists independent of the brain, and what we call death is not an end, but a doorway. In one of the most famous studies, known as the AWARE study, researchers placed images in operating rooms that could only be seen from a vantage point near the ceiling. If someone truly left their body, as they often describe, they might see and recall the images. So far, results have been inconclusive, but not dismissive. Many who return from near-death experiences describe permanent changes in perspective. They become less fearful of death, more spiritually attuned and less materialistic. And then there are other cases of blind individuals who report visual elements during their experience, describing colours, objects and scenes they should not be able to perceive. Science continues to probe these accounts with curiosity and caution, but even the most skeptical researchers admit there's something happening here that defies easy explanation. A moment between heartbeats, a pause between worlds. Whatever near-death experiences may ultimately prove to be, they whisper of a mystery that touches the core of what it means to be alive and to let go. So if, as you drift tonight, you feel yourself floating gently above your bed, remember, some journeys take place not in miles, but in meaning. And sometimes it's in the letting go that we glimpse the edge of the unknowable. Chapter 10, The Taos Hum. In the desert town of Taos, New Mexico, there's a sound that haunts the air. A low, droning hum that seems to come from nowhere. It rumbles just at the edge of hearing like a distant engine or the earth itself breathing. And yet when researchers bring out microphones and sensitive equipment, there's nothing to record. The hum exists only in the ears of those who hear it. Locals began reporting the phenomenon in the early 1990s, though some say it began even earlier. It's estimated that around 2% of the town's population can hear the hum, often described as a kind of low-frequency noise that never stops. Some say it causes headaches, insomnia, or even nausea. Others just find it unsettling, a sound that doesn't belong. Scientists have explored dozens of explanations: distant industrial equipment, electromagnetic radiation, underground seismic activity, or even tinnitus. But none of these theories fully explain why some people hear it and others don't. Even in the same room, the sound is often location-specific, and people report hearing it only in certain parts of their home or only at certain times of day. There are other hums too. The Bristol hum in England, the Auckland hum in New Zealand, the Windsor hum in Canada, each with its own sonic signature and each defying conclusive measurement. Some researchers have suggested a psychological component. Perhaps the hum is a kind of auditory hallucination triggered by stress, isolation, or environmental conditions. Others have gone further, proposing that it may be linked to military technology, underground tunnelling operations, or secret communication systems. But those explanations remain in the realm of speculation. In 1997, researchers from the University of New Mexico conducted a study on the Taos hum. They interviewed locals, measured ambient sound levels, and tested for possible environmental causes. In the end, they found no physical source of the hum, only the persistent testimonies of those who heard it. It remains quite literally an unsound sound, a reminder that not all mysteries are visual. Some hide in silence, in the places where science listens and hears nothing, and yet something lingers. Chapter 11: Spontaneous Human Combustion. A body found burned to ashes, but the surrounding room left untouched. A chair partially scorched, a leg unburned, but the torso reduced to bone and dust. These are the grisly details of what's known as spontaneous human combustion, an unexplained and terrifying phenomenon. The idea is simple and disturbing, that a person can suddenly burst into flame without an external source of ignition. Cases have been reported for centuries, dating back to the 1600s. Charles Dickens even used it in his novel Bleak House, and while he was criticised at the time, he cited real historical reports to defend the plausibility. One of the most famous modern cases occurred in 1951 in St. Petersburg, Florida. A woman named Mary Reeser was found almost completely incinerated in her home. Only one leg remained, still wearing a slipper. The chair she was sitting in was also partially burned, but the rest of the room was largely intact. The temperature required to cremate a body is over 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit. No ordinary fire would leave the surrounding area so untouched. Similar reports have surfaced around the world, always the same eerie pattern: complete incineration of the body, minimal damage to surroundings, and no clear ignition source. Theories abound. Some propose a wick effect, where the human body acts like an inside-out candle. Clothing ignites, fat melts, and the fire sustains itself using the body's own tissue as fuel. Others suggest acetone buildup in the body, electrical anomalies, or unknown chemical reactions. But even these don't explain the precise localized nature of the burn patterns, and crucially, no one has ever seen it happen. Skeptics argue that all reported cases must have some hidden cause: a dropped cigarette, a spark from an appliance. But time and again, investigators find no such source. The fire seems to begin from within, a literal inner spark. Perhaps it's a metaphor made real, the ultimate combustion of the self. A final and literal disappearance. Whatever the cause, spontaneous human combustion remains one of science's most macabre enigmas. A ghost fire that leaves behind only questions and ash. Chapter 12: The Placebo Effect. It begins with a sugar pill, a saline injection, or a fake treatment, and yet, pain eases, symptoms vanish, healing occurs. This is the placebo effect, and while it's often seen as a trick of the mind, it may be one of the most powerful and least understood forces in medicine. The idea that belief can trigger real physiological change challenges the very framework of Western science. Studies have shown that placebos can cause measurable changes in brain activity, hormone levels, and even immune response. In one study, patients with Parkinson's disease showed increased dopamine production after receiving a placebo, simply because they believed it was real medication. In another, patients undergoing surgery reported reduced pain and faster healing even when the procedures were entirely fake. It's not just subjective, it's biological, and it works even when the patient knows they're taking a placebo. There's also a lesser-known counterpart, the nocebo effect, where belief in harm causes real symptoms, nausea, headaches, even allergic reactions. The mind giveth, and the mind taketh away. Some scientists believe the placebo effect reveals the deep entanglement of mind and body, that expectation, belief, and ritual are themselves active ingredients in healing. But it also raises thorny questions about the nature of medicine, ethics, and truth. If something fake can cause real improvement, what exactly is being treated? The illness or the perception of it? And if healing can occur through belief alone, what does that mean for the power of suggestion, ritual, and even prayer? The placebo effect is not just a medical footnote, it's a mystery that cuts to the heart of consciousness itself. Belief shapes biology, faith alters flesh, and somewhere between the imagined and the real lies a quiet, unmeasurable force. A medicine made not of molecules, but of meaning. Chapter 13. The Immortal Jellyfish. Deep beneath the waves, in the warm coastal waters of Japan and the Mediterranean, lives a creature that defies one of biology's most fundamental laws, the law of aging. Turritopsis dohrnii, better known as the immortal jellyfish, has a secret that continues to baffle scientists. When faced with injury, starvation, or old age, this tiny jellyfish does something astonishing. It reverses its aging process. It essentially reverts to its earliest form, a polyp, and starts its life cycle all over again. It's as if a butterfly turned back into a caterpillar, or a human became a baby. This process, called transdifferentiation, allows the jellyfish to change the type of cells in its body and begin anew. While not truly immortal in the sense of invincibility, it can still be eaten or destroyed. The jellyfish does not appear to die from natural aging. It can, in theory, reset its biological clock indefinitely. Scientists have been studying this creature since the 1990s, but we're still far from understanding the full mechanics of its cellular transformation. If we could replicate or harness this process in humans, it could revolutionize medicine, aging, and the treatment of degenerative diseases. The immortal jellyfish isn't the only species that seems to cheat death. Certain bacteria, hydra, and even some types of fungi exhibit extreme longevity. But Turritopsis dohrnii is unique in its ability to revert to youth over and over again. To the jellyfish, time is a loop, and in its delicate, transparent body, science sees a flicker of eternity. Chapter 14. The Pollock Twins. In 1957, in a quiet English town, two young girls, Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, tragically died in a car accident. Their parents was devastated, but a year later the couple had twin daughters, Gillian and Jennifer. As the twins grew, they began to exhibit startling behaviours. Jennifer had birthmarks identical to those of Jacqueline. The twins asked for toys that had belonged to their deceased sisters, toys they had never seen. They recognised landmarks they had never visited and described past events with uncanny accuracy. By age 5, these memories faded, as if dissolving into the present. The case of the Pollock twins is often cited as compelling anecdotal evidence of reincarnation, baffling psychologists and researchers alike. Was it coincidence, parental influence, or something deeper, a soul returning to finish its story? Science has no answer, and perhaps it never will. The Pollock twins remain a gentle riddle, echoing the idea that time and identity may be more fluid than we ever imagined. Chapter 15. The Mind-Matter Connection. Can thought affect matter? Can consciousness influence the physical world? This question sits at the edge of science and philosophy, and at its centre lies a host of tantalising studies. From quantum experiments to random number generators, there's a growing body of data that suggests something strange. The human mind may not be entirely confined to the brain. At Princeton University, a decades-long experiment called the PEAR Project tested whether individuals could influence machines using only intention. Participants tried to sway the output of random event generators, electronic devices designed to produce unpredictable sequences, and in repeated trials, small but statistically significant effects were observed. The implication? That consciousness might interact with probability itself. Similar research has been done in parapsychology, studying phenomena like telekinesis, precognition, and remote viewing. While often dismissed by mainstream science, these studies continue to produce anomalies that resist easy explanation. The famous double-slit experiment in quantum physics also hints at a strange interplay between observation and outcome. When not measured, particles behave like waves, existing in a state of probability, but when observed they collapse into a single definite state. The act of observation appears to affect the observed, though the interpretation remains hotly debated. Some physicists argue this suggests a participatory universe, one in which consciousness plays an active role in shaping reality. Is it possible that our minds are not just observers, but participants in the unfolding fabric of the universe? If so, the line between mental and physical, between thought and thing, may not be as solid as we once believed. Chapter 16. Dark matter and dark energy. Look up at the night sky and you'll see stars, galaxies, clusters of light. But what you're seeing is only a fraction of what's really out there. The universe, as we know it, is made mostly of things we cannot see and do not understand. Dark matter and dark energy make up approximately 95% of the cosmos, and yet they remain invisible and undetectable by conventional means. We know dark matter exists because of its gravitational effects. Galaxies spin faster than they should based on visible mass alone. Something unseen must be holding them together. Dark matter acts like a cosmic scaffold, invisible but essential. Then there's dark energy, even more mysterious. It's the force driving the accelerating expansion of the universe. Since the late 1990s, we've known that the cosmos isn't just growing, it's speeding up. Some unknown energy is pushing space itself outward. What are these substances? No one knows. They don't emit light, don't interact with electromagnetic forces, and have never been directly detected. They're inferred, like shadows cast by forces we cannot see. Hundreds of experiments around the world are trying to pin them down, from underground detectors to particle accelerators. But for now, they remain placeholders in our equations, names for the unknown. The vast majority of reality, it seems, is missing from our senses, and whatever dark matter and dark energy turn out to be, they will fundamentally reshape our understanding of the universe. Chapter 17. The Hum. In certain parts of the world, a mysterious low-frequency noise haunts the silence. It is not a sound heard by all, only a small percentage of people can perceive it. This phenomenon is known simply as the hum. From the quiet town of Taos, New Mexico, to the rural corners of the United Kingdom and beyond, reports come in from those tormented by this low droning sound, like a distant engine that never stops. Yet no identifiable source can be found. Instruments fail to register it, and those who hear it often describe it as inescapable. Some speculate it's electromagnetic interference, others suggest geological shifts or even mass psychological suggestion. But none of these theories fully account for the mystery. Why do only some people hear it? Why does it follow them across locations? And why does it seem to defy every scientific attempt to pin it down? In the darkness of night, when all else is still, the hum remains a persistent whisper from a world just beyond reach. Chapter 18. The Wow Signal. In 1977, a radio telescope at Ohio State University picked up a signal from deep space. A narrow-band radio burst that lasted for 72 seconds. It was so striking that the astronomer who discovered it circled it on the data printout and wrote "Wow" in the margin. Since then, it has become one of the most famous mysteries in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. The "Wow" signal appeared to come from the constellation Sagittarius, and it matched the kind of signal scientists expected from an intelligent source. But it was never detected again, despite repeated efforts to scan the same region of space. No natural astrophysical process has been conclusively linked to the signal. It was not a satellite, not a known planetary phenomenon, and not local interference. Some skeptics proposed it could be a reflected Earth signal, but no matching source was ever found. For decades, it has stood as a tantalizing possibility, a whisper from another world, or perhaps a cosmic anomaly. In 2022, researchers proposed that a sun-like star in the same region might be a possible origin point, renewing interest in the mystery. Whether it was a message, a mistake, or a moment of cosmic coincidence, the wow signal remains a singular event, unexplained, unreplicated, unforgettable. Chapter 19. Déjà vu and the mechanics of memory. It happens in an instant. You walk into a room, hear a phrase, or see a face, and you're struck with an eerie sense of familiarity. You've been here before, haven't you? Déjà vu, French for already seen, is one of the most common and puzzling mental phenomena. It affects 60–80% of people at least once in their lives, and yet we still don't fully understand how or why it occurs. Some theories suggest it's a glitch in the brain's memory system, the result of sensory information being processed twice, with a slight delay. Others propose it's a mismatch between short-term and long-term memory circuits. Neurological studies have linked déjà vu to activity in the temporal lobes, particularly in individuals with epilepsy. But even in healthy brains, the feeling remains uncanny, real enough to cause pause but fleeting enough to avoid capture. In more metaphysical traditions, déjà vu is sometimes seen as evidence of past lives, parallel universes, or precognitive perception. It straddles the line between neuroscience and philosophy, between the known architecture of the brain and the unknown dimensions of time and experience. Science can observe when déjà vu happens in the brain, but it still can't explain why it feels so meaningful. Like a message written in the language of memory, whose sender and meaning remain just out of reach. Chapter 20. The Limits of Human Perception. The human senses are marvels of evolution, but they are also profoundly limited. We see only a tiny fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum. We hear just a narrow slice of sound frequencies. Beyond our perception lies a world of infrared and ultraviolet light, of radio waves and gamma rays, of infrasound and ultrasound. Many animals perceive what we cannot. Bees see ultraviolet patterns in flowers, snakes detect infrared heat, whales and elephants communicate in infrasound. To them, the world is rich with signals we will never know. Our brains filter and interpret what we do perceive, constructing a coherent reality from incomplete data. What we experience as the world is a stitched-together illusion, useful for survival but not necessarily accurate. Some scientists speculate there could be entire aspects of reality, dimensions, forces, entities, that we are biologically unequipped to detect. Just as a radio cannot receive television signals, our minds may be tuned to only one channel of existence. Technology has extended our reach, revealing hidden galaxies, subatomic particles, and genetic codes. But even our instruments are built from human assumptions and may miss what we don't yet know how to look for. In the end, we are like deep-sea divers with lanterns, illuminating only what's close and visible, and the rest, the vast uncharted darkness, remains full of mystery. Conclusion: embracing the mystery. For all its power, science is still a work in progress, a beautiful, relentless and imperfect attempt to understand the universe. And sometimes its greatest discoveries lie not in what it explains, but in what it cannot. From immortal jellyfish to phantom signals from space, from the alchemy of belief to the architecture of the cosmos, the unknown is not a void, but a frontier. It invites us to remain curious, humble, and open to wonder. As you drift now into sleep, perhaps your mind will linger on these mysteries, not as puzzles to be solved, but as dreams to be wandered through. Rest well, fellow traveller. The universe is wide, strange, and full of quiet questions. And sometimes, the best thing we can do is listen.